Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. President gives assent to central rule in Arunachal Pradesh. Congress and other opposition parties call it murder of democracy. Supreme Court to hear petition challenging cabinet decision today. Call for nationwide university strike today to protest suicide of Dalit research scholar Rohit Vemula. 7 students on hunger strike at Hyderabad Central University seeking ouster of Vice Chancellor. Maharashtra Chief Minister urges temple authorities of Shani Shignapur to hold dialogue with women's group campaigning for entry of female devotees. This after activists were taken into preventive custody and later released following clashes with the police. Denmark's parliament clears decision to confiscate valuables of refugees to deter them from entering country. Refugees call step dehumanizing. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says UN chief's statement on settlement activities bolster terrorism. Ban Ki-moon had called Israeli action provocative. Well, President Pranab Mukherjee has given his assent to central rule in Arunachal Pradesh. The nod was given 2 days after the Union Cabinet's recommendation. The Congress and other opposition parties have termed the move a murder of democracy. Today, the Supreme Court will hear the Congress plea challenging the Cabinet recommendation. Here's more.
2 days after the Union Cabinet recommended imposition of President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh, President Pranab Mukherjee gave his assent to the recommendation on Republic Day. The President had earlier called Home Minister Rajnath Singh and sought clarification on the urgency for imposing central rule. The centre has maintained that it was forced to take the decision because of a constitutional breakdown in the state.
And this is not the creation of the central government. The state government, which is the Congress party, they have failed to govern the state. And the chief minister has dropped all his senior ministers and parliamentary secretaries without, consulting us.
A delegation of Congress party leaders had also met the President and opposed the Cabinet recommendation. After the presidential assent, the Congress and other opposition parties, including the JDU, the CPI and the Aam Aadmi Party, are terming it a murder of democracy.
BJP wants that everywhere their government should come. You can't impose president rule because people have not favored you. So it is very wrong. And we will fight in the court, and also we are going to fight on the street. We will go to the people.
ये गैर भाजपाई जो विपक्षी दलों की सरकार है, उनके लिए खतरे का चिन्ह है।
केंद्र की सरकार ने वही काम किया जो पहले जिसकी वो हमेशा निंदा करते थे, क्योंकि ये शुरुआत है भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ओर से कि पिछले दरवाजे से सत्ता में कैसे आना है।
6 months had lapsed between 2 sessions of the State Assembly.
इसके जिम्मेदारी अरुणाचल के जो चीफ मिनिस्टर है नबम टुकी और स्पीकर नबम रिबिया, इन दोनों जो कजिन ब्रदर्स, इनके वजह से आज अरुणाचल को ये दिन देखना पड़ा। ये बहुत अनफॉर्चुनेट है। ये प्रेसिडेंट रूल इनफैक्ट बहुत पहले लगना चाहिए था। अक्टूबर नवंबर से ही ये क्राइसिस आ गया। सरकार माइनॉरिटी में है, वहाँ कानून चीज़ की कोई नहीं है, डेवलपमेंट चीज़ के कुछ नहीं है, वहाँ पूरा खत्म हो गया। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर प्रॉब्लम पूरा वहाँ हो रखा है।
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will today hear the Congress plea challenging the cabinet decision.
It was expected that they will, forcefully they'll do it. It was expected they did it, and then it is of course not wise decisions for the state of Arunachal Pradesh, and ultimately our people will be sufferer.
Former Delhi Police Commissioner Y.S. Badwal and retired IS officer G.S. Patnaik have been appointed advisors to the Arunachal Pradesh governor after it was brought under President's rule. Arunachal Pradesh has been rocked by a political crisis since December 16 last year, when 21 rebel Congress MLAs joined hands with 11 of BJP and 2 independents to impeach Assembly Speaker Nabam Rebia at a makeshift venue. The Speaker had termed the move illegal and unconstitutional. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, on Tuesday night, of course, the President Pranab Mukherjee approved the central government's recommendation that President's rule be brought about in Arunachal Pradesh, and that was approved last night, of course, and after which we've seen the Congress come out and say that the Constitution was murdered on Republic Day. Of course, the Congress is hopeful that they get some kind of respite from the Supreme Court. The matter will be heard in the Supreme Court later today. And in the meantime, of course, it's President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh, and we can expect this particular controversy to snowball in the days to come as well, and it might just carry forward till the budget session of Parliament as well. Well, President's rule, of course, has been imposed in Arunachal Pradesh. This after the recommendation was made to the President by the central government last week. We saw the Home Minister meeting the President and speaking to him about it as well a couple of days ago. Joining me on the phone line right now is the former Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, Mr. Nabam Tuki. Mr. Tuki, thank you so much for joining us on the phone line this morning. As far as the situation in Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, were you disappointed, were you unhappy yesterday when the President, approved the recommendation of the central government of imposing President's rule in your state?
We met the President of India and then apprised him all situations about the state of affairs. And we told him that there is no breakdown of law and order problem in Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal is one of the peaceful states and no incident occurred except few the democratically some the protests dharna were made against the governor because of governor's decisions was illegal by preponing the assembly session and trying to destabilize the government in the state. And Congress was popularly elected people's mandate government in the state.
Indeed.
There was no difficulties of running government in the state.
Okay.
It was functioned normally, and people were very happy with the government.
You're saying the people, Mr. Tuki, you're saying the people were happy with the government, and you've called it a murder of democracy, whereas the central government and leaders of the central government continue to state that there was a law and order situation in Arunachal Pradesh. There was a problem there, and that's why the recommendation was indeed made. And also another point that is being raised is that your government was in a minority in Arunachal Pradesh.
You can cross-check from all the agencies. And even the media people can also cross-check there in Arunachal Pradesh. There was no breakdown of law and order at all. Not the law and order situation created like any other states in the country. Arunachal was a peaceful state. And people were working. They were celebrating New Year Day. They were celebrating the festivals. So no, was no sign of law and order breakdown. The government was functioning smoothly, but the central government, they wanted the president rule to be imposed in Arunachal Pradesh because they are doing selectively. They know that Arunachal is a tribal state, and we have less representative in the parliament, so therefore, they have selected Arunachal Pradesh to destabilize the government.
Mr. Tuki, the matter will be taken up in the Supreme Court later today. Do you expect some kind of respite from the Supreme Court?
Yes, we are hoping for the best because only judiciary can protect us. The way the injustice done to the state of Arunachal Pradesh, and also the Congress party, because India is the largest democracy, and we have to maintain democracy. To have a strong democracy, we have to have an elected government. Therefore, Congress party was vended by the people of the state, and government was formed under my leadership, and it was functioned effectively. There
Indeed.
was no sign of any breakdown of law and order problem, except few decent MLAs. Some decision MLAs has been created by BJP themselves, because they appointed new governor. The new governor started functioning from day one as an agent of BJP, and day one they tried to destabilize the government by instigating our MLAs and forming different types of joint
Right.
actions committee, joint Andolan committee, so many committees they have appointed by Raj Bhavan, and started working against the government.
All right, the matter is in the Supreme Court. Remains to be seen what happens in the Supreme Court later today, of course. Thank you so much, Mr. Nabla Muttuki, for joining me on the phone line there and sharing your views on that particular issue. Moving on now, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called a meeting of his Council of Ministers today to seek a mid-term review of all decisions taken by the Cabinet in the last 1.5 years of the NDA government. Modi will examine how ministers or other ministries are implementing over 20 key decisions on agriculture and rural development projects. This will be the first major review exercise in 18 months since he assumed office. The meeting has set off speculation that there could be a cabinet reshuffle during the winter session of the budget session of Parliament. Modi has last met his team in December last year, where he had asked all ministers to travel across the country and spread awareness about the government's development measures. Well, moving on now, the situation in Hyderabad Central University continues to remain tense. Despite some peace on Republic Day, the agitating students are going to escalate their protest with a call for a nationwide universities strike today to press for action on Rohit Vemula's suicide. The strike is to be extended to a Delhi Chalo on January 30th, which happens to be the deceased student's birthday. Here's more.
Republic Day brought temporary peace at the Hyderabad Central University after the week that saw frayed tempers and protests over the suicide of Dalit scholar Rohit Vemula. Acting Vice-Chancellor Vipin Srivastava hoisted the national flag at the campus, hoping that this would be the precursor to finding a solution to the logjam. However, the students are not placated. Representatives of 9 universities forming a National Joint Action Committee has given a call for a shutdown of universities across the country today. This is to be escalated to a Delhi Chalo on 30th of January, Mahatma Gandhi's death anniversary and Vemula's birthday. 7 students are already on an indefinite hunger strike. They are demanding the sacking of HRD Minister Smriti Irani, arrest of Labour Minister Bandaru Dattatreya and Vice-Chancellor Appa Rao Pudail.
In solidarity with the people sitting on the hunger strike, kam se kam, the least we can do is we can leave a meal. तो मैंने decide किया है कि at least मैं lunch नहीं लूँगा.
Even today there is no response from the administrative side and there is no response from government side, and they are shedding crocodile tears towards the Rohit's death.
Following demands of the students, the university has revoked suspension of other students and announced an ex gratia of 8 lakh rupees to Vemula's family. But the agitating students have not accepted the appointment of Professor Srivastava as acting VC. The protest has already taken political colours. On Tuesday, the Telangana Pradesh Congress Committee handed over a cheque of 5 lakh rupees to Rohit's mother, Radhika. The party has threatened to take the issue to Parliament.
The Vice-Chancellor and the 2 central ministers must be sacked. The SC/ST case, the concerned must be arrested, and they must get an eminent, distinguished person as the Vice-Chancellor of the Central University.
जब तक श्री अप्पा राव उपकुलपति और श्री दत्तात्रेय मंत्री के विरुद्ध दर्ज FIR के आधार पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होती, वहाँ के छात्रों के आंदोलन को समाप्त करने का सही समय नहीं है.
Rohit Vemula, along with 4 other Dalit scholars, was suspended for an altercation with the student leader of the ABVP. Rohit later committed suicide on 17th of January. University authorities are concerned the academic semester could be disrupted if it did not begin functioning soon. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a look now at what else is expected to make news today in our segment, The Day Ahead. A 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court will hear a plea in the Aadhaar case today. The petitioners in the case had challenged the unique identification number on the grounds that the move to collect information from individuals and sharing such data is a violation of the right to privacy, especially in the absence of any backing regulation. The municipal sanitation workers in New Delhi will go on an indefinite strike from today. The charge that the civic bodies have failed to meet their many demands, including regularization of salary. The workers have been sitting on a relay hunger strike for the past month at Jantar Mantar under various unions. The Delhi High Court is to hear a plea challenging the AAP government's decision to set up a commission of inquiry to probe alleged corruption in the Delhi and District Cricket Association. A division bench of Chief Justice G. Rohini and Justice Jayant Nath said it would hear the plea. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav will visit the drought-hit Bundelkhand region to take stock of the development work. Yadav will be travelling to Shahjahanpur village and hold a chowpal with the villagers and also meet public representatives. Hit by severe drought conditions, a farmer death is reported every third day from the 13 districts that comprise the region. While the government estimates 40 to 60 farmer deaths last year, locals claim the number to be at least 10 times higher. Moving on now, the Maharashtra government has said that it will facilitate talks between women activists and authorities of the Shani Shingnapur temple to find a way out over the ban on entry of female devotees into the inner sanctum of the shrine. On Tuesday, police took hundreds of women activists into preventive custody when they tried to march to the temple to enter the inner sanctum. Women activists led by Trupti Desai staged a sit-in protest and clashed with police as they were prevented from entering the temple. Later, they were released without any precondition. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said that women have the right to pray and urged the temple authorities to hold a dialogue with the women's group. The temple is dedicated to Lord Shani, the personification of planet Saturn, and women devotees are not permitted at the platform as per tradition followed by the shrine.
जितनी ऐसे मंदिरें हैं जहाँ पे महिलाओं को प्रवेश वर्जित है, वहाँ पे जो है वो जल्द से जल्द वहाँ पे महिलाओं को छोड़ना चाहिए, यही हमारी मांग रहेगी। और हर रोज 4 महिलाएं अभी शनि शिंगणापुर में जाएगी।
Well, a high alert has been sounded in Odisha after 4 men presenting themselves as Iraqi nationals disappeared when asked to produce their identity proof at a hotel in Bhubaneswar. Police suspect them to be terrorists. The 4 men, with an estimated height of 6 feet 5 inches and speaking in Hindi and English, came to the hotel in a car with a Delhi registration number which turned out to be fake. The police has seized the CCTV footage from the hotel. The Special Task Force has started investigation into the incident and launched an operation to trace the 4 men. The team searched different hotels and lodges to locate the missing suspected terrorists.
थोड़ा सा उनका व्यवहार संदेहजनक था, तो उसमें पुलिस तुरंत हरकत में आई और हमने उनका फर्दर वेरिफिकेशन किया। कार का नंबर दिल्ली से वेरीफाई किया गया तो वो फेक नंबर जान पड़ता है। उस नंबर की इस तरह की कोई आइकॉन फोर्ड कार वहां पे नहीं रजिस्टर हुई है। रात को पुलिस को हमने हाई अलर्ट पे रखा, पेट्रोलिंग बढ़ा दी गई।
मैं उनको 2 बार पासपोर्ट मांगा, वो बोल रहे थे, बहुत बार बोल रहे थे कि वहाँ मैं दूंगा, लेकिन पहले मेरे को रूम दो। लेकिन मैं उनको बोला आप कहाँ से आने वाला है, इराक बोला। 2 बार पूछा, मैं 2 बार पूछा, कंफर्म होने के लिए मैं 2 बार पूछा।
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The present government is being projected as a reflexive anti-Dalit government.
I think that kind of a criticism is inspired by those who are not comfortable with the present government.
The politics in Jammu and Kashmir, why do we see an intriguing political silence at the moment, both on the part of BJP as well as PDP?
There is an English proverb that we'll cross the bridge when we reach it. let the party first choose its leader. The PDP is yet to choose.
Watch to the point with Minister of State for Prime Minister's Office Dr. Jitendra Singh only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, cold wave conditions prevailed in the entire North Indian region with minimum temperatures falling several notches below normal. Not just cold, thick fog also affected normal life. Train services were the worst hit. The unusual cold weather pattern disrupted normal life in the East Asian peninsula. Here's more.
Winds travelling from the northwestern plains increased the chill factor in North India as the country celebrated Republic Day. Bone-chilling icy winds have disrupted normal life, sending shivers all around. In the hills, the minimum temperature is hovering at freezing point in the lower areas, while higher areas are reeling under temperatures as low as -10 to -12 degrees Celsius. As many as 8 deaths have been reported in the past couple of days due to the intense cold wave in Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Jammu too experienced its coldest night in 70 years at 0.05 degrees Celsius.
इस समय ठंडा तो बहुत ज़्यादा दिख रही है और ठंडा बहुत ज़्यादा है, हाथ पैर गल रहे हैं और अभी कुछ सुबह सुबह कोहरा भी बहुत ज़्यादा था।
काम करने में हाथ फट जाते हैं और काफ़ी ठंड से हाथ भी सिकुड़ जाते हैं। हाँ, गर्म कपड़े टोपी वगैरह तो पहने रखें फिर भी ठंड लगता है।
A thick blanket of fog engulfing the entire northern region has brought down visibility to 200 meters in Delhi. Flights and train services are also badly hit, with as many as 45 Delhi-bound trains cancelled and 30 delayed, while 7 are rescheduled.
बहुत दिन से और दिन से ज़्यादा आज ठंड हो रही है।
आप यहाँ क्या कर रहे हैं?
मैं भाई किसी को लेने आया हूँ। गाड़ी लेट है, बाद 14-15 घंटे लेट है। 2-3 घंटे से बैठा हूँ यहाँ पे।
Not just India, the entire East Asian peninsula is reeling under a severe and unusual cold weather pattern. This rare weather pattern has specially proven deadly for Taiwan, where 65 people have died due to the cold. Heavy snowfall in Japan has stranded motorists, delayed bullet trains and caused flight cancellations. The southern city of Guangzhou in China, which has a humid subtropical climate, saw snow for the first time since 1967. In South Korea, temperatures in the capital Seoul fell to -14 degrees Celsius, the lowest since 2001. On Saturday, Jeju Island received 4.7 inches of snow, the heaviest since 1984. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, moving on to some international news now. The parliament in Denmark has cleared a controversial bill that seeks to deter refugees from entering the country. The jewellery bill that is being termed by refugees as dehumanizing allows the Danish police to confiscate valuables of those seeking refuge in the country to pay for their stay. Here's a report.
Despite protests from international human rights organizations, Denmark's parliament has passed tough measures aimed at deterring refugees from seeking asylum in the country. This includes confiscating their valuables to pay for their stay. The Danish government has defended this measure despite strong criticism from the opposition.
Om at Danmark ikke tager sin del. Vi tager absolut vores del, når det handler om flygtninge i Europa. Absolut vores del. Og det er jo heller ikke nogen hemmelighed, at når vi står her i dag, så er det jo rent faktisk fordi, at vi ønsker at komme til at tage.
Det er jo i bund og grund en skamplet for Danmark, og det kommer jo til at få en meget, meget negativ indvirkning på vores omdømme. Altså Danmark var jo, da jeg var ung, så var jo kendt som et lille humanistisk land, der altid gik for.
The tough measures also include delaying family reunification to 3 years. The move has been criticized by refugees who call it wrong and dehumanizing.
It's a wrong law, and we don't accept this. We condemn it. We want the Danish Parliament to think again about this new law, because this is dehumanizing.
The United Nations says that the move sends out a damaging message.
Decision to give Danish police the authority to search and confiscate valuables from asylum seekers sends damaging messages in our view. It runs the risk of fueling sentiments of fear and discrimination rather than promoting solidarity with people in need of protection. On the limited access to family reunification, we're just remind people of the point that family unity is a fundamental principle in international law.
The jewellery bill is the latest attempt by Denmark's 7-month-old minority centre-right government to curb immigration to a country that took in a record 20,000 refugees last year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed remarks by UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon against Israeli settlement activities. Netanyahu said that Ban's remarks only bolster terrorism. Earlier on Tuesday, UN Secretary-General slammed Israel's settlement activities as provocative acts that raise questions about its commitment to a two-state solution amid growing Palestinian frustration over nearly 50 years of occupation.
אין הצדקה לטרור, נקודה. הרוצחים הפלסטינים לא רוצים לבנות מדינה, הם רוצים להשמיד מדינה, והם אומרים זאת בריש גלי. הם רוצים לרצוח יהודים באשר הם, והם אומרים זאת בריש גלי.
In more international news now, the much-awaited Syria peace talks might restart on Friday. The UN is making all-out efforts to secure a broad ceasefire in the war-torn country. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State John Kerry dismissed reports that he threatened to stop support to the Syrian opposition if they did not turn up for the talks. Here's more.
The first priority will be the focus of the talks of what most Syrians, if not all, want to hear. The possibility of a broad ceasefire and the possibility of stopping the threat of ISIL.
The United Nations making a push to restart the postponed Syria peace talks. The Geneva communique will be the guideline for the talks. It was issued after a UN-backed conference on Syria held on June 30, 2012, laid down a roadmap for power transition in Syria.
Everything is starting with the Geneva communique, what we have on 2254, which lays down very clearly three areas: governance, new constitution, and new elections under UN supervision, is a further refinement and more precise of what could be the umbrella of the Geneva communique.
The UN has finalized the list of delegates on behalf of the Syrian government and the opposition. However, the head of the Syrian opposition is not optimistic about the upcoming talks, casting further doubt on whether the group will attend the Friday meeting in Geneva. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State John Kerry said they will support the opposition politically, financially and militarily. He also dismissed reports that he threatened to halt support to the opposition if they do not show up for the talks.
لم يكن هناك أي ضغوط ويعني حتى أقول أكثر من ذلك يعني لا أحد يستطيع أن يمارس علينا ضغوطا يعني من يستطيع أن يمارس علينا ضغوطا فنحن لا نتقبل الضغوط ولا نرضخ للضغوط وبالتالي لا أعتقد أن السيد جون كيري يمكن أن يمارس هكذا ضغوط على الثورة السورية أو المفاوضين.
Russia remains adamant on its stand on Syria as it reiterated that their military intervention had altered the ground situation in the war-torn country.
Действия воздушно-космических сил России в ответ на обращение сирийского правительства реально помогли переломить ситуацию в этой стране, помогли обеспечить сужение контролируемого террористами пространства.
The Syria peace talks were set to begin in Geneva on Monday, but it got delayed because of the ongoing discussions on who should represent the opposition. On the ground, the situation remains grave. At least 22 people were killed in a twin bomb attack in Syrian government-controlled city of Homs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And finally, some sports news now. World number one women's double pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis will face 13th seeds Julia Georges and Karolina Pliskova in the semi-final of the Australian Open today. The Indo-Swiss pair defeated German-American pair of Anna-Lena Gronfeld and Coco Vanderweer 6-2, 4-6, 6-1 in the quarter-final clash, extending their winning streak to 34 matches. Sania also advances to the mixed doubles quarters with Croatian partner Ivan Dojic. The top seeds shook off the challenge from Esamul Haq Qureshi and Yaroslava Shvedova 7-5, 6-2 to set up a last 8 clash against Leander Paes and Martina Hingis. The Indo-Swiss pair had a comfortable 6-1, 6-2 victory over Jean-Julien Roger and Sloane Stephens. Meanwhile, in the men's singles, Swiss maestro Roger Federer advanced to his 12th Australian Open semi-final and set up an exciting semi-final clash against world number 1 Novak Djokovic. The world number 3 looked close to his brilliant best as he brushed Berdych aside to win 7-6, 6-2, 6-4. 5 times winner Djokovic brushed aside Japanese Kei Nishikori 6-3, 6-2, 6-4 in straight sets. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, world number 1 Serena Williams' domination continued as she hammered Maria Sharapova to reach the semi-finals. The reigning champion has not lost to Sharapova since 2004 and she is now unbeaten in 18 matches against the Russian after winning 6-4, 6-1. She will now face Poland's Agnieszka Radwanska in the last 4. That's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.